How would you feel if you were shopping in one of your favorite brand shops and you had gone to this beautiful mall, you've gone to Shibuya 109 with your mum and you were super excited to try on some new clothes. So you went to one of your favorite shops to try on the pieces, and what you heard from the sales staff genuinely ruined your day because they made fun of your appearance and they fat shamed you in front of your own mother. This is the story that I'm going to be telling you guys today about a very popular J fashion brand, and I really hope by sharing this story it can help people to do the right thing, boycotting this brand, and also to be really careful not to support brands that are fatphobic or discriminate against any type of body, and also to stand up for yourself. And hopefully this will not happen to anyone that watches my channel because it would genuinely break my heart. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Iivi Bunny, and for today's video we're going to be talking about a J fashion brand that really messed up. So for today's video I do just want to give some content warnings. We're going to be talking about fatphobia. We're going to be talking about brands who basically discriminate against people based on how they look. So there's going to be some talk of, harmful rhetoric, basically bullying. So if that's something that triggers you, please do not watch this video and take care of yourself because it is pretty nasty. So if you guys know anything about J fashion, if you know about Jirai, you know about Real Sangata, you know about any of these styles, you will know that there is a brand called, I don't know if I can actually say the brand name because I have to be really careful about legal issues since I do live in Japan and I'm not looking to get sued, but I'm going to say for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that everything is alleged, even though you guys know, obviously, there is written proof of these things. So if you guys know, Shibuya 109 is one of the most popular fashion malls in Japan. It is absolutely super famous. It is in Tokyo, obviously. It's huge. It has been around for, I think, since the 80s or 90s. I might be wrong. And it is mainly for kind of cutesy, girly fashion. If you didn't know, there's also a men's 109, which is not as cute because this is Barbie's world, not Ken's world. And 109 used to be famous and synonymous with gyaru culture. They used to have all these different gyaru brands. Recently, it is coming back a little bit. There's a bit more gyaru brands, but it's mainly for like Jirai, Rosengata, stuff like this. But yeah, they have a lot of different fashions, some simple styles, some alternative styles. There's just a lot there. And there is one particular brand that came under fire last year for being absolutely horrible to their customers. Not even their employees, their customers. You heard that right. The first post which kicked off this drama is by a young girl who talked about trying on clothes and overheard the staff saying things like, "These are clothes for skinny people, lol. I can't believe you show your legs. Since we were the only ones in the store, I knew immediately." She continues to say, "When I finished trying them on and opened the curtain, my mum was standing there with a sad look on her face. It was heartbreaking. It was my first time with my mum." The Google reviews for this brand don't look much better either, with netizens stating that the staff's attitude made them feel they were looking down on them condescendingly and were too busy looking in mirrors and seemed uninterested in serving customers. But by far the most damning evidence was the own shop staff's Twitter account, where she actively talked about how she would change her attitude towards customers based on their appearance. She said that she didn't expect staff to be friendly, so her criteria for judgment was appearance, and stated anything's fine as long as you pay the bill, which really makes you question what type of people were this brand hiring and how was this type of behavior seen as okay. This brand were infamous for not only being rude, but also the company director herself defending the staff who said these rude things. In her official statement, she actually accuses the people who wrote these honest accounts as harassing her shop staff, so it's actually even worse than defending. Now, I think that anyone in the West should probably be aware that this type of behavior would usually get you fired in America or in the UK. Absolutely, you would be fired for saying something like this. And rightly so, because if you are selling clothes to a customer, you should be kind and courteous, and you should not be judging them by their body type, especially when it comes to Japanese clothes. Now, if you didn't know, a lot of these brands, they only have clothes in a one size fits all size. Now, I have said about one size, I do wear one size, but I'm not necessarily huge on it because I believe we should have more diverse sizing, and also one size isn't the most flattering on anyone. I have some Liz Lisa dresses that, because I am quite flat-chested, they make me look like I have a sunken in chest, and it is very ugly. I also have some dresses that are too short for me because I'm taller than the average Japanese woman, and etc, etc. So one size is not always the perfect size, and yes, it may work for me, but that just definitely doesn't mean that I promote it. In my opinion, I think we should have diverse sizes because isn't that common sense? Anyway, so with a lot of these brands, their clothing usually features shearing, and it's up to the individual to try them on to see if it works for them. I think that it's very rude for a brand to make fun of their customers, but also to try and make assumptions about their body and to laugh at them. It's so evil. And what makes this case even more upsetting is that the company actually didn't punish the employees who said this. If anything, they originally defended the employee and took back their statement when there was too much backlash, because of course it's all about the money. And reading this statement, which I've put up on screen for you guys, I directly translated this into English, you can tell that there isn't really any apology from the brand. In fact, there is a huge sense of entitlement where they feel like they are not doing anything wrong. And this is something I really want to talk about, which is that a lot of these J-fashion brands who produce these one-size clothing, they actually are actively fat phobic, and they will be absolutely horrible to their customers who are not skinny. And I want to talk about the fact that I am friends with people who have been employees with other J-fashion brands, and unfortunately this is not just the case for brands like this one. This is also the case for a lot of smaller brands too. And I can tell you that they not only underpay their workers who have to work overtime, a lot of these brands, but they also are so obsessed with saying, oh, only one type of girl can wear our clothes. We only want this type of girl to wear our clothes. Now, why do they say this? And surely this wouldn't benefit them. The sick mindset that a lot of these brands have is that they only want their clothes to be worn by very slim, very kind of specific girls. And there is a very specific look that they have in their head, and they think that having their clothes worn by a girl who doesn't fit this very strict image will diminish the value of the brand, because people will associate it with girls who aren't as stylish or they don't like their body type. And it is just inherently a very fat phobic argument, because they're assuming that girls who are overweight or who are plus size can't be stylish, which is a very harmful rhetoric to have and definitely not true. But not only that, but it's also making fun of children, because the majority of people that they are insulting are very young girls under the age of 16 who are children. So making fun of them when they're just learning to experiment with their style, they might not know about makeup, they might not know about hairstyling, is inherently so unbelievably cruel, and also ignores the fact that the majority of us did go through awkward phases, in fact, probably all of us. And that's why I take such a huge issue with it. Now, the other thing that I take an issue with is that people don't necessarily seem to care. I talked about this brand in the past. I talked about it probably a year ago. And since then, I've noticed so many of my mutuals have continued buying this brand. And I've noticed that it seems like a lot of the people who buy this brand either just don't care, they're not really interested in the moral side, or perhaps it's because they agree with this harmful rhetoric. And that is something that I'm really worried about. So it's something that I do think is a huge issue in the J-fashion community, which is people who are secretly fat phobic. And I think that a lot of people don't talk about their feelings because they know that it's wrong, but I really do think a lot of people are hiding their true feelings the same way that people do in Japan, and that's why you see so many of these brands doing well, because they don't necessarily go out and say, you can't wear our clothes if you're X size. They try and make it clear with the models, with the way that they treat the customers, and the way that they train their employees, which is absolutely awful, and it makes me truly sad to think about. And the other thing that I want to say is that with a lot of these brands, it is a lose-lose situation. You are buying poor quality clothes, which are very expensive, which I talked about in my most recent video, and you are supporting a company that at best doesn't like people who are plus sized or who don't fit a very specific mold, and at worst, actively discriminate against people who don't look exactly how they imagine their ideal customer to look. Now, why is that wrong? It's just wrong on so many levels. And I think if you are questioning why that's wrong, or you still want to buy from this brand after hearing this, I would actively question your morals, because as soon as I found out that this is what the employees were doing and the director of the brand encourages it and still encourages it to this day, but really is still hiring the same type of staff because the problem has not gone away, you are not a person who has sound morals. That is just the truth. You are not someone who is empathetic, because as soon as I heard about this, I absolutely decided, thank God I'm not buying anything else from this brand, because it is disgusting that they would tell a child that she has big legs or whatever it is. And that is just so immoral to say to one of your customers, to say to a young person. And I do just want to say, like, it's an issue with one size clothing. It's an issue with Japanese brands. So many of them are like this. And unfortunately, it's not even a case of smaller businesses being safe to buy from, because also in Japan, I do have knowledge that a lot of these smaller businesses who sell clothes can also be fatphobic, as again, I do have a friend who worked at a smaller business who were absolutely horrible about customers who did not fit a very specific mold of what they wanted. So how can you actually avoid this? One of the things that you can do is, like I said, you can find brands who sell multiple fashion sizes, sort of diverse range of models. A really good example of that is brands like Dear My Love. I know that the quality isn't the best, but they do favor model diversity. They favor having multiple sizes, and I think that that is really admirable, especially in a climate where it's so difficult to find that. I would also say looking into more high quality indie brands like Honey Pepper, which again, I'm not sponsored, but they have really nice looking clothes for these fashions such as Jirai, and they also have diverse clothing sizes. So this is something I would recommend if you want to try and do the right thing and not support brands like this. If you still really like the clothes from these brands, you can definitely find them secondhand on apps like Mercari, and that is what I would do personally, is just buy them secondhand so that you're not going to be supporting them and you're just going to be finding some clothes that would end up in a landfill anyway. So that is my recommendation if you like the clothes from brands like this. But the situation itself is pretty bleak, and I want to ask your opinion. What would you do if you saw this brand and you thought, okay, how can I be the most ethical about this? How can we avoid fatphobic brands? What can we do to try and make the J fashion community a more inclusive space? I would really love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please do let me know, and thank you so much as always for watching.